My name is Elizabeth Reeser with the League of Women Voters in Metropolitan Columbus. Welcome to our Meet the Candidate Forum for Ohio House Representative District 6 Democrat candidates. We unfortunately just learned that our candidate running for Ohio House of Representatives District 10 Republican is not able to attend. So our forum will just be District 6 Democrat.
Yeah. For District 10, shop is your father.
I will talk to you in just a minute, sir, when I get over finish. He will be making a statement later on. However, his opponent emailed us just about an hour ago saying he was not able to attend. So that will change the forum slightly, but we will continue with, as planned, with District 6 Democrat candidates. I want to thank the Greater Hilltop Area Commission for co-sponsoring this event. They've been a great partner for many years, putting on candidate forums with us. Please make sure you have a plan to vote for the March 19th primary election. Early in-person voting already started on February 21st at the Morse Road location for the Franklin County Board of Elections. If you want to vote by mail, you must submit a written absentee ballot request, and we have copies of those up here if you'd like to do so. You can verify your election day polling place by going to the Franklin County Board of Elections website. In primary elections in Ohio, we have open primaries. That means you will pick a particular political party ballot to vote, or you can pick an issues only ballot. Candidates that win their primary will go on to run against the other political party's winner in the November 5th general election. In addition to candidate forums, our league publishes a voter guide in which candidates provide written answers to questions. Our voter guide is online at www.vote411.org. The voter guide lists all candidates running for election in Franklin County, as well as all the issues on the ballot. The League of Women Voters is dedicated to expanding public awareness about government issues and encouraging active participation in government. The League does not support or oppose political parties or candidates. Please visit our website to learn more about the League. And now I will turn the event over to tonight's moderator, Yvette Alexander.
Good evening, everyone. To give you some brief history about me, I am a long-time Hilltopper, born and raised since 1958. Went to Highland Elementary, St. Aloysius, Hiltonia, and West High School. And also ran a business, my family business, for over 70 years, and I ran it for 50. So I'm very familiar with this side of town. Okay, let's get started. Welcome to this Meet the Candidates Forum. The races participating in tonight's event are Ohio House of Representatives, District 6, Democratic candidates, and Ohio Representatives, District 10, Republican candidates. I will begin by explaining our procedures, which were agreed to by all participants in advance. Tonight, each candidate will give a 1-minute introductory statement. I will then ask questions, and candidates will be permitted no more than 90 seconds to answer each question. Each candidate will have an opportunity to answer the question, and I will change the order in which candidates are asked a question for each subsequent question. Candidates will have 1 minute to give a closing statement. Some of the questions have been pre-written, and the remainder will be solicited from the audience. Audience members who wish to ask a question will submit the question in writing. League voters will review the question before handing it to the moderator. The league reserves the right to reject audience questions if they are inappropriate or duplicative. The candidates can see our timekeeper, who will indicate when the speaker has 30 seconds remaining, 10 seconds remaining, and when their time has expired. If a candidate continues speaking, I will say, thank you, and then we will move on. First, we will hear from Democratic candidates running for the Ohio House of Representatives, District 6. I will start with Brandon Barkis. So let's see, candidates begin with 1 minute introduction and we will continue down the table in order.
Good evening, everyone. First, thank you for hosting this wonderful and impactful event. My name is Brandon Barkis. I have 3 generations of family in our community, proudly raised on the Hilltop and graduated from Columbus City Schools. Social workers helped raise me when my mom could not provide for me. If it weren't for this community, I wouldn't have survived, let alone an opportunity to thrive. I'm the first person in my family to graduate high school. And first to go to graduate college. I got my degree in social work. I wanted to give back here on the west side. My field placement was right here, helping elderly patients over at the Lord's. I'm the only veteran in this race. I also have experience in workforce development, building and teaching IT programs at underserved communities here on the west side so they could get opportunities for good, high-paying jobs. And I'm also the only person in this race who has state house experience. I worked in the state house. I spent 4 years under 2 Democratic state representatives working in the legislature. My name is Brandon Barkis. Thank you for your time. Excited to talk.
Next, Patrick Barnacle. Is it Barnacle?
Barnacle. Hi, my name is Patrick Barnacle. I am an attorney and a software engineer, and most importantly, I am a husband and father of 2 children. I previously served as a zoning chair of the Greater Hilltop Area Commission. I served a full 3-year term at the Greater Hilltop Area Commission and 2 years as zoning chair. I am running to smash fasterism and to rebuild the Hilltop, rebuild the west side, fix West Broad Street. Way too many politicians have passed the buck when it comes to West Broad. Yes, it is a city's jurisdiction, but it's also the state of Ohio. Every time I talk to city people who work at the city, they always say, oh, it's Route 40, so there's only so much we can do. Well, if I'm elected as your state representative, I will do everything I can to change the laws to keep the city of Columbus from properly fixing West Broad. Let's have a neighborhood that respects people, not just cars.
Eli Bonner.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Eli Boner, and I'm running to represent you in the Ohio House of Representatives. The issues that face our community, they're personal to me. I know what it feels like to do your grocery shopping at the food pantry just to make ends meet. After the pandemic, I lost my job, and then I lost my health insurance. I found myself having to make that difficult choice between paying $500 a month out of pocket for healthcare or figuring out how to pay for my prescription drugs individually. My commitment and dedication to public service comes from my family. My dad, he was a union firefighter for over 30 years. My mom, she was a public school teacher. Their commitment to service led me to run for the West Scioto Area Commission, where I now represent over 20,000 on the west side, ensuring that their voices are heard. If elected, I'll focus on 3 main areas: freedom, security, and opportunity. My name is Eli Boner. I'm running to represent you. Please learn more at eliForohio.com. Thank you.
Christine Cockley.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christine Cockley. I've lived in Columbus for about a decade, and I've spent about half that time over on the west side living on the Hilltop. I felt called to public service at a very young age when my mom first started taking me to vote with her, and she started taking me to do parades and canvassing and ensuring people knew to vote down the ballot. That led me to become a 2-time graduate from the John Glenn College of Public Affairs. Since then, I have experience working for various nonprofits and also U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown. These experiences taught me the importance of leading with empathy and taking concrete action. And that is why I'm running today. Thank you to the hosts and thank you all for being here.
And Hannah Kefla.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah Kiflet. I was raised on the west side, proud product of Hilltop Public Schools. I went to Highland as well in Hilltop, but I'm a graduate of Briggs. I was introduced to computer science in high school. That really offset my career working at the top. For the last 20 years, I've been doing technology, working with large companies. So the past 20 years, I've also been doing a lot of community advocacy work, where I've successfully launched nonprofit organizations that focus on educational programming for youth. Volunteered with the City of Columbus Community Relations, as well as sitting on the board of COSI and also the Greater Hilltop Area Commission. I'm running to represent the West Side, not only because of my professional experiences, but because of my West Side roots. West Side is my home. In 2019, I bought my forever home on the West Side on Warren Avenue. This is where my family lives. This is where I grew up. And I know the issues that have plagued my families, my neighbors, my classmates back then, and it is now. I'm going to fight for us at the State House. From advocating properly funding our schools to bringing programs that provides our communities with the right skill set to good paying jobs, and it's ensuring accessible mental health care services.
Thank you.
I know, I was gonna add.
Okay, Lisa is running late, so when she gets here, she will invite herself. Someone have their finger. Excuse me, I'm gonna adjust her mic. I'm gonna adjust the mic. She said, I'm not going to the phone. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear? You still can't hear? Okay, I'm gonna try to talk about, can you hear? Can you, okay, I'm gonna try to raise my voice as loud as I can. And I guess if you can't hear me, just raise your hand and I'll try to go high. First question, starting with Brandon Barkis. Why is public service important to you and to the community?
So I was raised here. I'm an officer in the Army. Public service has been my life. My background is in social work. You clearly don't do it to get rich. So for me, public service is the byproduct of the people that raised me. I was raised by social workers over here on the West Side, over at Biden Community House. And my life mission has been giving back to the community that raised me, our community. I have a background in social work. I've served in the Army and I led IT programs for underserved populations here on the West Side. It's important to me because service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on Earth. And I fundamentally believe that. And that's why I'm running today, because my entire life has been service to others because those people invested in me.
Thank you. Next, Kevin.
Can you hear me? Oh, great. The question is why you're called public service. When I was 16, I needed chemotherapy and a bone marrow transplant. I was an inpatient at Johns Hopkins, the pediatric ward. And there was another girl in the ward. I had pretty okay health insurance, and as a result, I was able to get pretty good treatment. Her family had to put their house up for mortgage. And they took a second mortgage on their home. They paid a sum to Johns Hopkins, and it didn't pay for the entire treatment, but Johns Hopkins took her in and forgave the rest. And one of the social workers, who talked to us children, told me the story as if it was like a feel-good story. Like she was, oh, look at Johns Hopkins, they're doing this. And I was horrified. Like, how is it that we live in a society where children's families have to put up everything they own just to get child treatment for for cancer? And my family that's middle class doesn't have to do that. That's when I knew that everything I was told as a child was a lie, because I believed that if you worked hard, played by the rules, you would be okay. I realized that that wasn't always the case for everybody. This deck is stacked against so many families, and I decided that the only way that I could be okay with what happened to me and her is if I went into public service to change the rules so that they can be fair for everybody.
I believe giving back to your community is one of the most important things you can do when you are blessed with the talent or an ability. So whether that's picking up trash on Sullivan or going out and serving your community in an elected position, in a volunteer position, a nonprofit position, you find what works for you and you figure out how to give back to people. When you're blessed with time or talent, you figure out how to turn that around and give it back to others. My parents raised me to truly believe that, my dad worked 40, 24, 48-hour shifts as a firefighter, but he was also a volunteer firefighter in our home community to ensure that no matter where he was there to help people out and give them a chance when they're one of their most worst moments in life. I will always do the same, as I am truly in this for people. I'm not in this for myself. Running for office is not that fun. If I was in it for the fun part, I would be figuring something else out to do. I'm in this to serve the community and give back however I can.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. So public service is something that's been important to me my entire life. Growing up, I thought it was something that you did out of the kindness of your heart because it was important to keep the village going. It takes a village. I didn't realize that there's career paths within the nonprofit sector, within advocacy, within social justice. And that's what led me to become a two-time grad of the John Glenn College of Public Affairs and really learn what public service means to me. I think the biggest thing is it really does take a village. And part of that is creating policies that protect our most vulnerable neighbors. I have diagnosed anxiety and depression, and I have seen the system fail so many of my loved ones, and myself included. And I truly think that we need leaders that can take concrete action and lead with empathy because they know what it's like to be in the shoes of the most vulnerable neighbors. And so that's what public service means to me. It's making policies that protect the most vulnerable neighbors, and it's creating an Ohio that works for all of us.
So public service, to me, my family and I have always been a product of public service. We came to this country as a refugee back in 1983. So if it wasn't for folks who were volunteering from Red Cross to Salvation Army, my family and I would not be here. Public service is also the reason why I was successful in my career. It was my computer science teacher that took it upon himself to teach us computer science because he knew that that wasn't something that was available to us through my parents. Because my mother is a housekeeper, my dad is a maintenance guy and a cab driver, so they don't really have that skill set. So it really took, like she said, it takes a village to raise children, to raise community, to uplift communities. And the other reason really is, my brother committed suicide back in 2013. And that is the reason why I decided to run for office. I knew that the only way that we can make a change in this community is if we really uprise and lift one another and try to speak for those that could not speak for themselves. And so public service, I think in order for us to make a huge community change, public service has to be really important.
The question.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, I was gonna give her a chance to introduce herself
yes.
first.
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm so sorry, I apologize that I'm running late. I had a family emergency and that was very important that I have to show up. So I apologize once again. My name is Kausar Musa and I am running for Ohio House of Representative District 6. I am running because I have served for this community as a healthcare worker, as a commissioner, as a volunteer, and I feel like I can uniquely deliver a service to this district. So if I can,
Yes. The first question that was asked of the other candidates, I will repeat it for you. Why is public service important to you and to the community?
so public service is very important to me because as somebody who has grown where there was no government, where there was no school system, where there is no complete government structure. I grew up where there is no police, where there is no any government resources, any government departments. Where I come from is Somalia. Somalia has had a government, but it collapsed 30 years ago while I was growing. I was born 1989, 90s, we don't have certificate from the hospital because I was born when everybody was running and they were looking for, somewhere to stay safely. So since I went to high school, I learned that it's important that people work together, people, discuss things together, people learn from each other, people support each other. And my mom was, and my mom was always somebody who was supporting other people. So I learned from her. And again, public service is important. Myself, I run international nonprofit organizations located Somalia, Kenya, Uganda, Norway. I was doing that because I wanted to provide service to the people. Again, also I work at, here when I came to America, I work at a nonprofit organization that has provided services to the most needed communities, especially women in color, especially marginalized and underserved populations. So that's why it's important for me to stand it up so I can continue the work I was doing. Thank you so much.
The next question, we're gonna start with you. Is it Cawthorn Musa?
Yes, go so.
Yes, yes.
We're gonna start with you with this next question. How much have you used public transportation in Columbus? And have you ever had to rely on it for your primary transportation?
I have used it multiple times. I like it. And if I get elected, I will support the public services, public transportation. Yes, I trust the way they work, but still, yes, there's a challenges, there's a barriers. Some people don't know where, to stand when they want to ride the public transportation. I work at a health center where we provide 11,000 people services. The people we provide services are people who are underserved. When the things that we provide is government resources, the things that they need is only government resources. They only need transportation assistance programs. One of the things they need is transportation assistance programs, housing, shelter. As a caseworker working as a federal qualified health center, that shows me public transportation is important, yes, and I have used it multiple times.
So the first time I used it was when we lived off Racine and Mound, and I was trying to go downtown. Mound Street was the only location that we were able to take it. It took about, it runs every 15 minutes. The second time I tried to take transportation was I was working downtown. I lived downtown driving, and I used to drive to Carter Health in Dublin. And I thought one time I said, I'm going to start taking the bus. And I lived right there on High and Hubbard. I had to take a bus from High to the downtown station, and then I had to wait about 30 minutes, and then another bus that took me from there to Dublin, which was another 45 minutes. And I thought I can do this. I tried it for a few days, maybe a week and a half by the time I gave up, because I thought there's no way. Because then the last bus was at 4:30. So that meant I had to leave work early. So I couldn't do it 8 hours at work. This is pre-COVID, so people had to be on site for work. And I knew there's no way that people could take transportation, public transportation, even the bus, to try to, and work 8-hour shift. So I know that there's going to have to be some investment in our infrastructure as far as transportation, because if we want people to take transportation and we want people to stop driving their gas vehicles, then we have to invest in transportation.
I love this question. So yes, I have had to rely on public transportation. When I was a student at Ohio State and I went to the senator's office to do constituent calls, I would have to take the bus there every week to do so. I could not tell you how many times I have used the bus because I have used it so many times. And part of my reason for agreeing with Adhana that we have to support and invest in public transportation is because of my own experiences, but it's also because of the people around me. I spent 8 years working at Panera in the food service industry, and so many times my colleagues would be late to work because of the bus system and trying to figure out how can I get to work if I just got my child on the school bus and still make it back in time to get them after school. And so we truly need to invest in transportation, not just to decrease the amount of cars that are being used, but also for the people who don't have cars and who need to be able to show up to work on time and have that reliable transportation. So I love this question, whoever asked it. Thank you very much. And we should absolutely continue to invest in and grow the investments in transportation.
Public. There you go. Public transportation is vital in a city like ours, and as someone who's used the 1 line, the 2 line, the 5 line, the 102 line, I can tell you it's pretty inconsistent and unreliable, unfortunately. I was lucky enough where I was able to take the bus before the one I would need to get where I was going most of the time, so I could be on time. Because if you've ever ridden the bus before, you know it's gonna be 5 to 10 minutes late quite often, unfortunately. And for folks that are depending on this every day to get to work, get home from work, to be able to pick their kids up, it just doesn't work. We need real investment in public transportation here in central Ohio. We need better frequency for buses. We need buses that are cleaner. We need buses that people feel safe on. And we need more routes so that no matter where you live in Columbus, you're able to get where you're needing to go without having to depend on a car. Now, I did have to depend on a bus 100% for a while whenever my Honda Accord that had 297,000 miles on it died recently. And I found myself either having to pay for $15 Ubers to get 10 minutes or taking the bus. And unfortunately, that bus ride would have been over an hour. So you have to take the Uber. And for people that are working minimum wage jobs, trying to budget, it's just not realistic to be taking Ubers to and from work every day. So absolutely, we need to invest more in public transportation to ensure everybody has equitable access to everything in our community.
Yeah, I appreciate this question a lot. I live right off of Broad Street, so I've taken the 10 downtown lots of times. Anytime there's a crew game and I'm going to it, I usually try to take a bus for a number of reasons. But one of them is, I just believe in it. But man, Columbus City bus service, it stops way too early. Like, if you want to get back from a crew game, you have to basically hoof it to get back to the line. Otherwise, you're gonna miss it. And if you miss it, take an Uber back from downtown right after a game. It's gonna be like that's gonna be pricey. It's even from downtown back up to the west side. That could be a $40. Because of surge pricing and everything, it's ridiculous. And even trying to call a taxi, get one of those at that hour is difficult anymore. But yes, I actually did have to rely on public transit. So when I first moved here in 2013, I actually moved to German Village at first, and it was actually Marion Village, not really German Village. And I moved to Westgate just a year later in 2014. But in 2013, I was working for Mayors Against Illegal Guns, and I had to go to the State House to lobby to prevent bad gun legislation. And I was able to successfully do that. But the bus was super late, number of times. And I remember there was a day it was January or February, there was snow slush on the ground. The bus didn't come, it was about 20 minutes late. I had to run to the State House, and there I was in my suit, completely covered in slush all the way up to my knees. And that's how I had to talk to my lawmakers to try to keep guns out of hands of dangerous people.
Coda, where do I begin? So I grew up in central Ohio. I graduated from Columbus City Schools. And as part of after school programs, you can use your card to jump on the bus. That was necessary for me to have safe after school programming. But the reality is going from McGuffey, from my high school, graduate of cause, don't hold it against me. But going from McGuffey downtown to connect, to show up at the 10, the 6, or the 3, to go to West Broad or Sullivan or Mount Street. The reality is that's about 2 hours, or was back in the day. Now, there have been tweaks here and there. They've revamped their routes, but I still remember having to go get home from the bus and then have to take my bicycle to Stringtown Road so that I could show up at my shift at Walgreens, because there's no easy way to get around. And the reality is, we have great opportunities in the form of, there's MORPC plans that are great connectors between cities. And I'm generally supportive, but what it comes down to is that when we have a system where people here cannot afford to get to the good jobs in New Albany or in the suburbs, that means we have a system with two classes and people here are missing out.
Thank you. Our next question, and I'll start with, Cawthor? Yes. The question is Democrats remain in the super minority in the state house. How will you navigate that to make sure you're still making an impact?
Yes, I'm aware that Democratic are the minority of the state house. Unfortunately, we have to work hard to get more seats. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create relations with other parties as well. So strongly we can work together on issues that affecting directly our community, because being Democratic or Republican sometimes is, alone does not work. You need to build collaborations with other parties as well. So I'm gonna create collaborating with other parties. I'm gonna create, strong relations with my other, elected officials within the body as well. So also having, creating forum that where we can have conversations maybe outside of the state house, maybe having coffee with them, discussing issues that the community development they are aware of it, that they want to have, resolved, or maybe the peers that's affecting us negatively, making sure that they have been impacted.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. I didn't know. I would say we would focus on the issue. We try to build a relationship with the other side, right? Even though we're two different parties, I think at the end of the day, you think about the people in the issue and try to work with them in building a relationship, focusing on issues that we want to resolve. And at the end of the day, thinking about we are impacting people's life at the end of the day. Issues that we're talking about, whether it's public education or mental health care, at the end of the day, these involve people and it's a life and death situation. So we have to be able to find a way that we could collaborate. What are some things that we may have in common? What are some things that we could work towards finding a solution for? Because at the end of the day, yes, we're two different parties, but we have constituents that we are serving. We have people that we care about and that we want to uplift these communities at the end of the day. I work on projects at Battelle all the time, and there's definitely Republicans on the other side that I work with, but at the end of the day, we look at the solution that we're trying to solve for, and we work together in terms of what, our path forward. And so I'm hoping that I can bring that same skill set, and also working with other Democrats in the party that have worked really well with the Republican. You got, our state representative, Adam Miller, who has done a really good job in building that partnership. So it'd be getting a mentorship of some kind of, help from him as well in terms of, him sharing that knowledge in terms of how does he work well with the other side.
That's perfect timing, exactly a minute. This is also a great question, one that I have to personally reflect on, because oftentimes people are like, why are you running if it's an extremist state house? What can you actually do? And I think there's three things that I can do to have an impact. One, state house advocacy days, talking to the people who are actually doing the work and have the lived experiences, listen to them to figure out what legislation is important that we can realistically pass. Two, finding the bipartisan policy issues that we can actually have an impact. For example, the stuff that we don't talk about because it's not that attractive Democratic policy is still important to people living in our neighborhood, like investing in a healthcare system that's a one-stop shop for somebody with disabilities, or removing the administrative burden that comes along with insurance when you show up and you switch your insurance and now you're looking at a tab that's $700 for a life-saving medication. Those are things that we can realistically pass. And then third, funding. Rep. Miller actually got an earmark in one of the budgets recently where $50,000 went to a local nonprofit. So in addition to State House advocacy days, finding that low-hanging fruit that can be passed, even though it's not the attractive, policy that we talk about. And then finally, the funding piece to get money into the nonprofits who are doing the work within the community.
Bridging the gap between Republicans and Democrats in the state legislature is difficult. I'm under no illusion that I'm gonna walk in and say, here's my ideas, let's get this done. It's about building those relationships on day one and finding common ground in your personal life as well as your political life with people on the other side of the aisle. Representative Latina Humphrey on the east side of Columbus and Representative Bill Seitz, one of the most conservative Republicans from the Cincinnati area, passed bill after bill together because they have a common understanding of doing what's right for folks all across Ohio. I want to emulate that in my service to our community by finding Republicans who care about the same issues that I do. You know, if that's freezing property taxes for seniors and making sure that they're not priced out of their homes that they've lived in their entire lives, I want to be all for that and finding a Republican who believes that as well. If we can find a way to ban income-based discrimination when trying to rent a house, I'm all for that. And I'm sure there's Republicans out there as well that are willing to ensure that someone's not denied a home simply because of where their income source is from. So I'm going to find those personal interests, those personal connections with Republicans because my community is worth it. When I'm walking down the street, I don't see a Republican neighbor and a Democratic neighbor. I see a neighbor, someone who is there for their community, whether they're not, they agree with me on the political issues, someone who wants to uplift the community. And that's what I want to do for them as well.
I feel like my perspective is a little bit different because I'm a lawyer. Because I have served in court and I've represented defendants, I understand the effect that bad and poorly written legislation has. And I know that there are Republicans who also care about the effects of bad legislation, and hopefully they'd be willing to work with somebody across the aisle to fix it. Gun safety, I feel like there are some low-hanging fruits there. Child access prevention. I believe that if a child commits a crime with a gun, the gun owner should be held responsible for that crime. West Broad and its terrible condition is not a partisan issue. That is a collection of choices made by various jurisdictions, including the city of Columbus, Franklin Township, Franklin County, as well as the state of Ohio. And with Ohio state funds, I believe that we can also fix it. Yes, city of Columbus is going to have to do most of the heavy lifting, but we can pass legislation that makes it so that the city is encouraged to make our main street an actual main street, where I don't feel right now that I can cross that street safely with my two children. It is my goal by the end of my term to make it so that my children can cross that street safely. And that is a low ask, but by goodness, it will make a lot difference in so many people's lives.
So how do you navigate in a super minority? I'm the only candidate here who has. I'm the only candidate who has worked in the state house and has a record of passing legislation, even in a Republican supermajority. What I will share with you is that there are some small areas where there is room for collaboration, workforce development being one of them. Intel has brought a lot of interest to making Ohio the Silicon heartland, the Silicon Valley of the heartland, basically. Bring IT jobs here. I have domain expertise here. I've built programs, and I want to make sure that those good high-paying jobs that are flowing to Ohio show up in District 6, show up over here on the west side, because we have incredible, resilient people who deserve an opportunity, just like people in New Albany. But I'll also share with you that we need to make sure that we're doing more than just the legislation. We need to make sure we're doing in-district office hours. It is not enough for someone to have to take Dakota downtown so that they could interact with their government. Your government deserves to interact with you, to meet you where you are on bus lines in every district, in every corner of District 6. We need to have weekly in-district office hours. I can bring that. I've done that before. I'll do it again. And lastly, for the areas where we cannot find common ground because there is a Republican supermajority and there are marred interests all around at the Capitol, the best way you and I can impact change today is to sign the Citizens Not Politicians amendment, get this on the ballot so that we can have fair districts so that democratic policies have an opportunity in Ohio's future.
Thank you. Our last and final question, starting with you, Brandon, will be, what is your aspiration for public education as it relates to K-12 schools?
Proud public schools graduate, you guys have heard that. But look, I'm a product of public schools. And the reality is, the Republican legislature continues to increase vouchers such that public dollars no longer show up in public institutions. They're taken away, and we have city schools, we have public schools that continue to be depleted, General Assembly after General Assembly. We need to make sure that our teachers are well equipped. This is coming from someone who has been in the classroom, who has taught. This is coming from someone who has taught after school programs. This is someone who has had to out of pocket for his own students. Public education can change lives. And I know that because I'm sitting here today as someone whose life was changed because of the public schools down the road. Public schools are so important, and we need to make sure that they are funded, not just for today, but for every tomorrow we have for our next generation.
I feel like I'm the most personally invested in this question. I'm the only candidate here with children who currently attend. I think I'm the only one with children, and my son attends Columbus State Schools. My daughter will start attending Columbus State Schools in the fall. Gosh, I can say so much about the way Columbus City Schools works. They largely assume that at least one parent is available 24/7 and doesn't, like, they assume that one of the parents doesn't work, it seems. I don't know if you've had to deal with them, but it's awful. Wraparound services are pretty much non-existent. If you want to have a latchkey, it's a huge waiting list. Unfortunately, the lack of latchkey availability is pushing kids to charter schools, because a lot of them do have that as an option. I would like to see more investment in Columbus City Schools and public schools in general, so that every school has wraparound services, so that parents who work don't have to worry about rushing at 3:30 to pick up their children, because that's when it lets out. The other thing I really want to note is that West High School doesn't teach calculus at all. And, when I'm looking at what school I want to send my son to, I'm looking at, the cause. I'm also looking at, Fort Hayes, which is also Columbus City Schools, but these are both Columbus City magnet schools. My children should be able to go to school right here at West. And so every school in Columbus City Schools should be teaching calculus.
Fort Hayes also doesn't have calculus.
Really? Are you serious? It's ridiculous. That's why I'm running.
There's only one high school, no, two high schools. Thank you. Okay.
As the son of a public school teacher, it's always been very clear to me that public schools are where public dollars belong. Unfortunately, our state legislature does not agree with that, and they have essentially created voucher programs for all, where people are able to put their children into unregulated charter schools that tend to not perform any better than our public schools. And I think that's just wrong. Our kids deserve the best chance at a high quality public education. And that's only possible if we keep public dollars in our public schools. Now, I'm not just saying that because it's a great political answer. I truly believe that. Last year, I was out knocking doors here on the Hilltop for the Columbus City Schools levy to ensure that our kids would have the dollars they need, that our staff and our teachers would have the dollars they need to teach those kids. Because they deserve high quality buildings. They deserve access to the top of the line classes and chances to go on to college or trade programs after that, if that's what's right for them after they graduate.
Whenever I go to talk about public education, I can't help but thinking about growing up in rural Ohio, where I had to walk down my driveway to get on the school bus. My driveway was like a mile long to get on my school bus and go to public schools where we didn't have windows because it was a factory and we didn't have air conditioning. And that's not what I want for the kids near us and in this district. So what I want for public education is an increase in funding and an increase for our teacher salaries and the administrative staff that works within education. I want to support our unions and listen to the people who are doing the work. And I also, like Eli, want to ensure that public dollars are going to public education. Thank you.
So I'm a product of the Hilltop Public Schools. Like I said, I went to Hiltonio and Highland, and as well as Briggs. When I attended Briggs in the nineties, we had home ec, wood shop, computer science. The entire second floor was nothing but computer science and accounting classes. And then we had the mechanics. That was the auto shop, the entire auto shop. Now they're all classrooms. Now Briggs is crowded. When I was attending, I graduated with 110 people. And now I was told by Tony Rice, who is a coach at Briggs High School, Briggs is one of the largest high schools in Columbus. And that to me is amazing because it wasn't in the 90s or early 2000s. So the fact that they had to close down these STEM education and these training opportunities for students is kind of depressing. In a way, I believe in increasing the funding for the schools to make sure that they're getting the services that they need, make sure the teachers are getting the services that they need, and also that our students are given the opportunity to be successful. We have to be able to give them the skill sets that they need to compete with, there could be Intel who's opening up with all these job opportunities. We got to make sure that these companies are taking our students for future jobs and not bringing in other people from other states, right? So, and that means investing in our public education.
So, yes, public education also is something that I stand as my other colleagues. As a new American, all new Americans, they all are public schools. I'm not saying that I will fight for public education because new Americans go. No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying this because that are the most important things that all of us will need. Republicans are attacking the public funding, public education constantly. And also they're attacking our teachers who are tireless working to educate our children. So me, as your next state representative, I stand public education and I will fight for that. I will fight that we bring funding for our public schools. As last year, election is November, I was door knocking as well, making sure that new Americans and Black communities and minority communities vote for the levy. So still I stand with public education and I will fight for it.
Thank you. We will now have closing statement, starting with you, Congress.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so hello everybody. My name is Kausar Musa and I'm running for Democratic nomination for the state of Ohio, District 6. As a new American, I am uniquely qualified to represent the people of this district. I myself have experienced the struggles of the people of the West Side. My background as a community and public health, I earned a master's degree as well with gaining access to quality and affordable healthcare. So, degree, and I have seen firsthand I have seen people who are struggling with first statement. 30 seconds. Okay, sorry. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming today and asking these beautiful questions. If you vote for me, I will fight for our district. I will fight for Ohio. I will fight for public education, transportation. I will fight for all of us. So I appreciate for your time for coming here today. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my story and why I'm running for state rep. Like I said, I was raised in the West Side, from Highland Elementary, Hilltop, and Briggs High, which is still in my heart. And I want to give back to the community that really gave back to me. I would not be here and be in the computer information system and being successful if it wasn't for my computer science teacher, if it wasn't for the teachers at Briggs High School, as well as the community surrounding. So I want to give back to the community that gave to me. And to me, that also means fighting for us in terms of public education, making sure that it's publicly funded, as well as bringing programs that make sure that our communities are provided the right skill sets to be successful with these good paying jobs, as well as ensuring that we have accessible healthcare services in this area. For too long, our people have suffered, our community has suffered silently, so it's time for us to really uplift our communities. Thank you.
I know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck, to watch family members and friends withdraw from benzodiazepines and go to the hospital for suicidal ideation. And I know what it's like to watch domestic violence escalate into gun violence in our own neighborhoods. These personal experiences, combined with my professional experiences, make me lead with empathy, advocate for my most vulnerable neighbors, and take concrete action. And this is why I'm running today. I humbly ask for your vote on March 19th. If you choose, early voting is open. And if you need to contact me and have any thoughts, questions, feel free to do so at cockleyforohio.com. Thank you all for being here and being civically engaged in primaries. It's incredibly important. And thank you to our hosts.
I'd like to start by thanking all of you for being here this evening. And civic engagement is one of the most important ways we can give back to our community, because by voting, you're saying that my community matters. I also want to thank our hosts, GHAC and the League of Women Voters, for hosting this event tonight. Sharing our perspectives is important. You know, we're all vying for your vote right now, but I would be remiss if I wouldn't plug Brandon's petition, Citizens Not Politicians. That is bigger than any of us up here. This is how we take our state back and have an actual choice at determining who is elected and what kind of policies we pass. I know we had limited time to conversate tonight and answer questions. So this Wednesday and next Wednesday, I am over in room 6 from 11 to 12 both days for open office hours. You can come, it's super informal, just a chance to chat and learn a little bit more. Again, my name is Eli Boner. I'd love to earn your vote on or before March 19th to be your next state representative. And you can learn more at eliforohio.com. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you to Greater Hilltop Area Commission. I served up with you guys for 3 years. I know how thankless your job is, yeah, it's a terrible job. So thank you so much, and thank you to our esteemed chair for being here as well. And thank you all for coming. I know that this is not everybody's source of entertainment. I mean, it kind of is if you're a political junkie, but also like, yeah, this is, I would much rather be with my children right now, but I'm happy to be here with all of you. You should vote for me because I am going to be the most selfish advocate here, because I'm not running for myself, I'm running for my children. I cannot wait for the neighborhood to get better. I need to get better now so that my children have a safe, accessible place to live. I'm going to be fighting for that every single day at the State House because we have had too many politicians who have passed the buck. I'm not going to go along for the get along. I am here to fight for you because I'm here to fight for my children. Please visit patrickbarnacle.com. I am Patrick Barnacle. I really want your vote. Thank you.
We need the best advocate. I think really the best advocate for us at the State House is someone with deep ties to the community. We need a leader who understands the pain and the promise of the Hilltop and the West Side. You have 7 candidates to choose from. But what matters most in this race is experience. I'm the only candidate who has experience working in the State House. I have built coalitions to get bills passed in the Republican-controlled legislature. The term of a state representative is only 2 years. We don't have enough time to wait for someone to spend a year learning the job. There are too many problems and as a result, too many opportunities for us. We need someone who can get started on day one. I can get started on day one. I'm here fighting for our communities because our communities deserve someone who really knows us and knows how to fight for us in the State House. I fought for my country in the military. I fought for good, high-paying jobs for West Side families, and I will fight for our community in the State House. BrandonBarkus.com if you want a little light reading. Thank you all for coming out tonight. This has been wonderful.
Thank you. We will now hear again from Elizabeth, right?
Breezer.
Breezer.
Thank you.
From the League of Women Voters.
So we had invited the candidates running for House District 10 to attend as well. There are 2 Republicans running, and at the last minute, candidate Brian Garbine was not able to attend. So due to the league's empty chair debate rules, we're not able to ask questions of the candidates with only one candidate up here. However, I would like to invite candidate Shari Ahmed Shafet to come up and do a 2-minute introductory speech. You all can feel free to either stand down or stay here. If you're
Thank you. Should I use that? Or I can
Yeah,
use my voice?
please
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming out. Thank you for the invite. Thank you for the good work. I have a lot of respect for a woman. I'm a husband, my mom, and everybody else here. And thank you everyone for attending, taking your time to be here. My name is Shafi Shafat. I'm a candidate for District 10. I am the current president of the Somali American Chamber of Commerce, one of the largest minority-led chambers in Central Ohio. I'm a business owner. I own Fleets Hotel Express LLC. I'm a graduate of Columbus State Community College, a graduate of the Social of Science, Logistics Management. I leveraged that experience in becoming a truck driver. I'm a qualified truck driver. I've been to the road, delivered load all over the state, served these people in the 48 states. I am also a graduate of Franklin University with a Bachelor of Science, with a major in Logistics Management. I'm in the working class. I work for Freightliner, as part specialist. Every moving truck today that buys or sells anything in Ohio, we are serving it. I'm also a community leader. I served become a proponent for many bills in the State House, being the last one on Bill 166 as a proponent. And I am running because I have seen the need up there. I'm a Republican candidate, proud of that. And I am really asking for your support in the upcoming election. It's not about a party. It's about how can we help our people on the ground, escalating crimes, unemployment, and many other issues. And for us to get together and vote for the person who knows the ground level of the problem. I have lived in Wedgwood before. I live in Grove City. I live with my people. I know the pain. So the need of partisan is not there. But what is there is who qualifies for that job. I think I qualify for it. And I thank everybody. Good luck with the big team over here. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
There are also two Democrat candidates running in the primary for House District 10.
Thank you.
Mark Segrist was not able to attend due to a Grove City Council meeting. He's on the council there. We do have one of the Democrat candidates, Sarah Pomeroy, here, and she has 2 minutes to make a statement. Like that.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Pomeroy, and I'm running to represent House District 10, which is the South Hilltop, Grove City, German Village, and parts of South Columbus. I'm running because I'm a lifelong Ohioan that believes that everyone deserves a leader who will listen first and then fight for them in the State House. I was raised in Central Ohio by parents who taught me to respect everyone and believe that everyone has a fundamental level of dignity that too often our friends at the State House do not recognize in how they're legislating lately. I started my career in the nation's capital at a corporate law firm and then joined the city attorney's office, where I've been a member of the nuisance abatement team, where I've done everything from prosecuting out-of-state landlords who treat Columbus residents like they're just a line item on a budget. I've shut down drug houses in cities of Columbus. I've held bars and markets accountable for not keeping their properties safe. But I've also seen what can be the best parts of government, where it is the business owner, the community leaders, community members, and the city collaborating together to come up with a solution that is safest for the neighborhood as a whole. I believe wholeheartedly that we have a responsibility to stand up in the face of forces that seek to divide us and ostracize us and take advantage of others. Too often our legislators are not focused on what we really want, which is just safe neighborhoods, stable housing, and a quality education. That's what I'm going to fight for at the State House. And I'd be honored to have your vote as a candidate for Ohio House 10. Thank you all for allowing me the minute to speak. Appreciate you all.
And finally, I'd like to invite Victoria Fry from the Greater Hilltop Area Commission up here to just say a few words.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for coming. This was not quite a labor of love as the chair of the Greater Hilltop Area Commission. I'm gonna be honest, it kind of was.
However, I'm just so thankful that all of you are so interested in civic duty and who's running to represent, you know, House District 6 and House District 10. I thought it important to have this evening for our residents, the folks that Greater Hilltop Area Commission is also representing. So I'm just so thankful that you're here. I have a couple other thank yous really quick, because I think it's important to thank those who are instrumental in bringing these things together. And so the League of Women Voters, of course. Thank you, yes. Yes, I'd like to thank Yvette Alexander, who is a lifelong Hilltopper that I pulled out from, you know, the community. She's always been involved, her family's always been involved on the Hilltop. They're one of the families. Well, my husband and I first came here 37 years ago that I met. So I gave her a call and said, I need you to come, you know, facilitate. I want to thank Pam Weaver, who is a former commissioner. During my term as chair, nobody ever leaves the commission. So I will be calling on all those former commissioners at some point or another. And I'm trying to think who else. There was somebody else I had in my brain. That's why you don't thank everybody individually. But I can't think of it. But, you know, from a feeling point of view, thank you all. Thank you all for coming and agreeing to be here. And presenting yourself so that the residents of District 10 and 6 can make an informed decision. So thank you so much. And we're done, right? That's how I end it. We're done. Yeah.
For when we're to the 6:15 also, because it would be great if we could have one for coming to 6:15 also.
You want to collaborate on that?